All right, we are live, and I am joined by Coach Roach, who is a new father, who is my friend, someone I joined for the draft, for the lottery, someone I am a Raptors friend with and a personal friend with, and I'm very happy that he decided to join me one day before the Raptors season begins. And boy, is it going to be a doozy, guys. And let me tell you, the Reach Report is here for it, okay? I didn't do much Raptors content last year. Let me tell you why. I was depressed. Okay, they made me depressed. I didn't want to talk about the team because even though I have no problem being subjective about a team, always talking negatively about a team is not healthy. And so I was really depressed. Um, a lot of people will tell me, well, they were 22 and 21 to end the season. I got news for you people. That was fool's gold. Okay, they played a lot of bad teams that were tanking, and I wasn't convinced that that was the real Raptors. I was convinced that that was a young team that really wanted to try to win some games at the end of the year, and it probably cost us a top five pick. Which, if you look at some of the top five picks right now, ouch. Coach, how are you? And how is father life treating you? And are you looking forward to the season?
I'm good. I get a few hours of sleep at night, but that's okay. That's all par for the course. Father life is great. I love it, and I'm looking forward to a Raptor season. Oh man, we got the host, the basketball rewind. Here we go. No, I'm doing well, Reese. Thank you so much for having me on. Um, to all the things you just said, I reflect that back to you as well. And I'm looking forward to having more talent on this team this year. We'll see how it goes. I think you were correct on the end of the year. Um, Last end of the year, a little bit of fool's gold there, I think as well. I agree with that. But we'll see how this season goes because you have more talent, you have more expectations.
I am now happy to be joined by the host of Basketball Rewind, the excellent meme that is my friend here, the host of Basketball Rewind. Guys, for those who don't know, it's an inside joke. He is the greatest meme that I've seen in sports since Michael Jordan. So I hope he understands how much that means. It's a big compliment. Sir, how are you?
Well, we got to save that meme for the right moment. But
Yes,
yeah,
let's not
uh,
overdo it.
yeah. Sorry, I just want to double check. Are they installing the new floor for the basketball for what's going on?
I'll put it on mute. But yeah,
It-
no, it's a floor, but it's not for basketball.
oh, okay,
Sure sounds
okay,
like
Maybe
it though,
more
eh?
so a bathroom. I'll go on mute though when I'm
yeah.
not talking.
Yes. So I brought you guys on. I wanted to do like a little hour before before the season starts. Um, yes, Kenyon was asking about the background noise. Yes, we have some renovations because Coach has a lot of work to do with a young child
I
coming into
also
his life.
reduced the noise cancellation sound, so it should
There
be a
you
little
go.
better.
Perfect. All right. So yes, I wanted to just do a little preview. There's a lot of interesting things that are happening with the Raptors. I'm going to start with um, CMB because that's sort of where the arc started. I'm going to get into Bobby's, you know, uh, eventual appointment to the team, and then we'll get into, um, the start of the season, our expectations of players and team. Um, Guys, I am happy to welcome Beyond the Locker Room, who is also joining me. So we have the entire Basketball Rewind crew now. Uh, like NBC, I've upgraded. You see, my NBC is about to have Michael Jordan on the halftime report, and now I have Beyond the Locker Room gracing us with his presence. So you see, I have upgraded on the Reach Report, like from inside the NBA to Michael Jordan on the halftime show. Okay, that's the comparison I'm making, people, like it or not. Okay, um, so I wanted to start with CMB, and listen, guys, I think CMB is going to be a great defensive pro. I worry about his offense. He's a great kid. He's a big dude for 6'6". Like, he is stocked. That guy can really move some bodies. Like, I like what I've seen from him, especially in the preseason. Now he's currently hurt. He messed up his forearm in the preseason, but from what little we've seen so far, I'm impressed with his defense, and I'm hoping his offense will get better. Um, I still think the team is allergic to centers, and it bothers me, but I don't want to get into that right now. Um, I guess whoever goes first can go ahead, but what do you expect from CMB this year, considering the way the Raptors are constructed right now? Do you want to go first, Kenny?
Hey, I wasn't sure if you wanted someone else to go first. Here's my thoughts really quickly. I think oftentimes when you ask what do you expect, people get too caught up with statistics. No, he's not going to do this. No, I'm just going to focus on style of play and how I expect it to grow. So, from what I saw, both from college to a little bit of him at Summer League, where he was just starting to get back because he had an injury going into Summer League. I want to say a hamstring, but it's been a minute in terms of me refreshing myself with his injury history over the past
Elbow.
year. In Summer League, I thought it
No,
was
sorry.
yeah, because
Recently with an elbow, yes.
yeah. So in Summer League, it was some sort of lower, it was some sort of like hamstring or whatever that kept him out. So he really hadn't played since the draft process. And so to see him there and then to see him early in the preseason, you saw completely different things because they were able to integrate him more purposefully with his lineups. And you also saw what he would look like because normally he's not going to be playing with guys. There's some guys on that Summer League team that played maybe 4 minutes in Summer League. They might need to call their agent, and their agent might need to, discontinue any relationships with the Raptors because, yeah. I think number one, he's going to be a really good rebounder. In terms of the way that they want to play defense, I think he's only players one of the only players that actually can play it. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm thinking that it can work with him. I'm saying that he's one of the only ones that is capable, both in terms of where to go, how to go, and the length and the reactions on defense, that he can be very versatile. So I expect that to pop right away. One thing that I think is going to surprise people, in my opinion, is his playmaking. He knows how to get guys, whether it be Grady, we saw it, whether it be Mamu. I mean, who's feeding who? It's always CMB when he was out there. So I just expect him to be very impactful from that standpoint. And the offense, I'm not worried about because when someone knows their game, they learn how to be effective. So in college, he was around 55% from the field. Didn't have a high 3-point percentage, but he was 55% from the field. And we saw it. He's not afraid to drive on a guy like Jokic. So I'll leave it at that.
Coach, you and I have had this conversation before about the Raptors being allergic to height, but I don't want to put that on CMB. What are your thoughts on him and what he can do for the Raptors this season?
I think he could become the best defensive player on the team by halfway through the year, if not sooner. When you watch him in Summer League, the way he moves his feet, the way he's able to split the gap, also he just knows what he's doing out there. He doesn't try to do too much. He doesn't try to force his game. He's not listening to his coach to take 10 threes during a basketball game. So I think he might only take 1 or 2 during a basketball game. I think that's fine. I just think he's someone, he has an understanding of his game. I don't think he tries to do too much. He'll come in off the bench and play some big key minutes, especially when Scotty's off the floor, because I'm assuming he's going to come in and try to play that connective piece. So I think he'll be like the 6th or 7th man in off the bench. I think if Grady is 6th man, CMB will be the 7th man. But his skill set is something we need. I wish he was 6'9" or 6'10", but hey, everybody wants someone who's 6'9" or 6'10". But if he's able to be effective defensively, similar to what Kenyon said, get his spots in the post or get his spots underneath the basket, he's going to be fine. He's going to do a good job on the team.
Beyond, you and I have also had this conversation about the Raptors being allergic to size, but having said that, I think that we need a player like this. What are your thoughts on what he can bring?
Well, I think he can bring something that we don't discuss much, at least amongst the Raptor ecosystem, is that Raptors tend to be, from the time of Isaiah Thomas to now, of being a very athletic team. In the last couple of years, this team has not been very athletic. So if there's anything that CMB will do, and I think he'll make some plays where it'll pop, where it's like, oh, you see, also you'll see certain things where it's like, okay, we haven't seen this in a while, and I think that alone will be helpful. Get a few more guys like him that can actually be a little more impactful athletically would be great. But I think that's going to be something that's going to stand out. He's going to make a couple plays where it's like, okay, athleticism is what's done that for him. Now, as far as his skill set goes, I think the good thing with him is, in some ways he's raw, in other ways he's not raw. And what I mean by that is, he's a guy that knows his game. So, like, if you know how to utilize that, anything from, say, 17 feet and in, I think he knows what his go-to moves are. He doesn't have to, this is one of the few guys, I think I would say probably him and to some extent Grady, are the only guys I get to recall that when they came into the Raptors, they didn't have to worry about, how can we utilize him? If he can only do X, if he can only do Y. They know what X and Y is for them. You don't have to worry about it. So I think from that perspective, I'm actually comforted in that sense to know that, what, he might struggle a little bit, but I know he knows enough about his own game. He'll scratch away. He may be able to scratch out 10 points in some nights, 10, 12 points on a rough night. And on a really good night, maybe get 17. So, like, I don't know. Like, he's one of those guys where, I would love to see him get more minutes. I've talked to the guys about this. The Mamu acquisition concerns me because I still feel that I think somehow he will eat into some of those minutes to some extent. That could have been potentially CMB minutes, however you wanted to deploy them. But we'll see. But overall, I'm more excited than I was, let's put it this way, the last week of June.
Yeah, I was impressed with his one-on-one defense, his point of attack defense. That body of his, he can really use those big legs and hips of his to push people off of their spots, and that was what impressed me the most. His offense is going to be a work in progress, and we'll have to wait and see. I am worried that he's been hurt twice already. That's a little bit of a concern. But there's going to be injuries. Like, the entire team, the entire starting lineup was hurt last year. So that this is the NBA. We're going to have injuries.
But that concerns me. I'm not gonna lie. That concerns me. Like, you played about 5 preseason games. You missed like 2 of them already, or at least half the preseason. That concerns me. I'm not gonna be around the bush about it. I'm always concerned about when some folks get like early injuries in their career. Some of them are able to get rid of it. A lot of times, folks, it ends up being nagging and ends up being persistent throughout their career. I hope that's not the case for this young man, but it makes me nervous that we are starting tomorrow and he might not be playing. So we'll see.
Yeah. So everyone watched the preseason? Yes. Okay, I'm going to give you my concerns, and then I'm going to go across the board here, guys. I didn't like what I saw defensively. It wasn't pretty watching Nick Nurse version 2 on defense in the preseason. The gambling defense, leaving guys wide open for threes, a layup line in the Denver game and the Boston game. That wasn't pretty to watch. Watching Scotty Barnes try to be a player that's off the ball is scary, and I don't think it's something that he can do. So that was a concern. Brandon Ingram is going to be Brandon Ingram if he's healthy. That I liked. This man will take 8 threes if he has to. He'll drive the lane if he has to. He'll get fouls if he has to. He's going to score. RJ Barrett ain't waiting around for anybody if he gets a chance to put it up. So we have our 2 chuckers on the team, for lack of a better term. IQ I have big concerns about because I don't know where he fits in this offense. Because he's not really a point guard and he's not really a good enough shooter to be a 2. And so I don't know how he fits into that starting lineup. Those 3 players that aren't great defensively, that are also chuckers, playing with Jakob and Scotty, is still a combination that scares me. I do like our bench a lot, even though 2 players are currently hurt, in Jacoby and CMB. But Grady's preseason gave me a lot of hope. I guess I'm going to talk about a few players, but I'm going to start with Grady. what does he have to do to stay on the court or get more minutes than we believe he'll get because of Brandon Ingram's presence? I'll start with Coach.
38 to 40% from three. I think he's got to have a mixture of catch and shoot threes, off the dribble threes. Grady's got to be aggressive. And we saw that last year in the first 25 games of the year. I remember we were raving. He was the second leading scorer among sophomores last year, only behind Chet Holmgren, I think, at that point in the year. And Grady had some games where he was getting 30 with RJ Barrett when everybody else was hurt. Grady's one of the keys to the success of the team this year, especially if he's coming in off the bench, at least initially. So I think for Grady to stay in the court, they might have to hide him a bit on defense at times because teams will look to attack him. I don't know how many times I saw whenever we played Boston last year, man, they were just looking to attack him on defense. So they got to find a way to make sure he stays on the court. Maybe try to hide him on someone who's not very good. But one thing I will say with Grady, and Beyond had mentioned this a lot last year, particularly on offense, the best defender on the other team will typically guard him, which says something about the reputation that I think he has. Like when we played Minnesota last year, Jaden McDaniels was guarding him. He wasn't guarding Scotty, wasn't guarding RJ, he was guarding Grady Dick. So having Grady playing a lot of minutes is going to be key, but I do think his defense, and not just his defense, I want to be clear, his defense along with the rest of the team's defense, along with RJ in particular as well, that's going to be key to their success. If these guys can't be average defenders for most of the time, or at least slightly below average, it's going to be tough for them. It's going to be tough for them to win games.
Yeah, I think even with Brandon Ingram's presence, I don't think outscoring teams is going to be a way for them to be successful this year. Beyond?
As the coach said, the defense seems to be, obviously the tilting point. A little bit of the 3-point shooting on the catch and shoot, or the spot up stuff, I should say. What I find interesting though is how I must be in the twilight zone because people are so down on Grady's season last year. I'm like, guys, am I missing something? I get it, as we moved into halfway point, but I think the biggest explanation for what happened with his numbers is that guys started coming back. And therefore, that's the biggest thing. And as in this case, Kenyon showed just a week or two ago, showing it quite honestly, he doesn't mesh well with Scotty. I don't know what it is. I got my own suspicions, but he doesn't mesh with Scotty well. And as long as Scotty's going to play a lot of minutes, which he will, they're going to have to figure out a way to get Grady to play figure out how to play with Scotty or vice versa, or pair him with Ingram more often, or I would say RJ, because they always play well together, he and RJ. And it's hard to have he and RJ in the court together. So that's another issue. But they're going to have to figure out a way around that because I think to me, that's and I'll be fair, he didn't play great with IQ either. So I think that's where the issue to me comes in is like, how do you integrate Grady with those two dudes? And maybe he plays with units that are more with RJ and Ingram and not with IQ and Scotty, which then leads, which probably means probably more CMB with those lineups, probably because you need some defensive presence out there. But to me, that's how I would kind of rotate. I try to keep him away from those two as much as possible to get his game going. I am not so down on Grady's season last year. I am actually hoping that he gets more minutes this year. I think the problem with Grady is how people perceive you versus what you actually are. And people perceive him as if he's like a spot up John Paxson. He's not that, guys. As long as people keep thinking he's that, then you're going to feel disappointed. Because then you're looking at, well, he's only shooting 38% from three. He's a scorer, period. Okay? All right?
Man, he had some nice drives last year, man. He had some nice dunks on people last year,
If you had to put those same numbers offensively with the percentage, you say, okay, remove Grady's name and put Brandon Ingram's name, no one would say, oh, you know what? You really should be shooting better from three, Brandon Ingram. No one would say so. No one would think twice. But because it's Grady, and the pedigree Brady has the shooter, amongst other reasons why, I think in this case here, people just assume he should be a spot-up dude and knock down threes all day long like in his sleep. He's not, to your point, he's a scorer, man. And that's why I hope that Darko realizes. And at least in the preseason, he's run some stuff for him. He's run off-ball actions for him. He's run stuff with some pick and roll. I'm like, okay, all right, we'll see. We'll see. He's been the focal point of the bench unit. which is good.
Yeah, I think that I think six man is a perfect spot for him right now. Um, Darko said, and I don't know how you can take his words with a grain of salt, but he said they were going to try to be more of a screening team this year. And Jacopo, in his words, is one of the best screeners in the league. And Mamu's going to help in that spot, in those spots. So if that's the case, and you're going to be more of a screening team, that should open up a lot more offense for Grady. Even though in the first month of the season he was kind of doing it on his own. I mean, he was driving the rim, he was making threes, he was doing everything. Of course, they weren't playing any defense, and they were trying to outscore teams, which is why they lost in October. But he was averaging 24 a game in October with him and RJ running the offense. Now, I don't expect that, nor do I think it's going to happen. But I think one of the main reasons why he had issues with Scotty is because Scotty was trying to be a spot-up shooter. And if he's standing outside in the three-point line where Grady's supposed to be running around, that's not going to mesh very well.
And to add to your point and what Coach said about the first couple of months of the season when he had like free reign, he was out there chucking. All right, let's get that straight, folks. He was out there chucking. Like the numbers were from an efficiency standpoint were pretty good, especially in the mid range. So just to think, when people think, well, everyone can get numbers because X, Y, and Z aren't there. Yeah, everyone can get numbers, but he was actually getting in a fairly efficient manner and getting to the rim too and get to the free throw line. So there's a lot of ways he was making it a very efficient outing, night after night. So on that end of the floor.
Hopefully, you and I have had many, many conversations about Grady throughout the last couple of years. He's a polarizing player in a lot of ways because of his defensive struggles, and because he's not always overly aggressive, which he should be. He should be in the Tyler Hero range, just chucking the ball up as soon as he gets a chance. Don't hesitate. What does he have to do to be more efficient out there and therefore get more time on the court?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I don't want him to be like Tyler Hero because Tyler Hero can actually run an offense. I don't want that to be.
I mean, Hero never hesitates. He'll shoot the ball anytime he gets a chance, is what I mean.
But he's always been more of a combo guard. Grady's not really a combo guard. He's like a true shooting guard, or he's kind of a 2/3 in that exact order. So I wrote down a couple things just as you guys were talking. I said, the first thing here, simple. Keep it simple, stupid tonight, right? For Grady, he needs to remember the first and foremost reason that he was brought here. I mean, he can do a lot more than shoot, for sure. And I know that people keep having that conversation and are shocked. But he does need to remember that shooting is the number one reason that he was drafted. He was the best shooter in college, or arguably the best shooter in college that year. And so, and the first one and done shooter, to come out of college for sure. So, I mean, for him to really see the most of what he can have to open up the rest of his game, to open up the chance for him to be a 3-level scorer. And I do not see him as a 3-level scorer. And I'll get to that in just a second. He needs to be able to hit the shot first. And as Coach pointed out, needs to be at around at least a 38% rate. I do understand that he has a high degree of difficulty. I do understand that if you look through the synergy data and dig more into it, the numbers are actually quite good. But you need to be 38% on the board minimum, no matter what. I also think there's parts of the floor, that he just does not shoot quite as well at. So above the arc, I'm just looking at the numbers right now, on the left corner. Sorry. He shot sub 30%, right? Then on the flip side, if you look at the other quarter, it's 39%. You need to have an equilibrium there, right? That's the first thing. Number two, reason why I don't call him a 3-level scorer, the reason why I would disagree a little bit with Beyond, he needs to shoot better at the rim. Now, preseason has been great. I think preseason has been really great in terms of him showing that he can potentially be a 3-level scorer. As opposed to RJ, who I'm sure you might touch on later, his rim efficiency numbers in preseason have been noteworthy to the point where people are making tweets and comments and whatever about it. Last year, he shot, I have the numbers up right here, 48.8%. League average is 59%. Now, obviously, I expect him, he's a guard, he might be a little bit below league average, but he shouldn't be 10% below league average or more. So that's probably the first thing. And then really quickly, just I mean, you touched on it briefly. I think the first half of the year he was technically 18 points a game, but pre All Star and post All Star, here are the numbers, and just in terms of efficiency. And yes, it probably does coincide. I don't know the numbers with him and Scotty in it versus him and IQ. All I know is that those two together, they struggle to distribute the ball, and Darko's made comments on that as well. But pre All Star. And still, oh, sorry, I flipped him. So pre All Star, I put the first pre All Star. You're seeing catch and shoot numbers in general. He shot 43.5% on catch and shoots. Post All Star, he shot 37.8. Okay, and yeah, I mean, he was a little bit better from pull-ups. Pull-ups are always going to be harder, so he was sub 30%. I think if he can get that up to like 33, 35%, which sounds like it's low, but if you look at like the top guys in sometimes Donovan Mitchell's, maybe that's a bad example, but like sometimes he's been around 37% from a pull-up three. If he can get that above 30%, I think now you're talking about, okay, yes, there might be some defensive liabilities, but the offense is just so good that it's hard to keep them out of AO lineups. So yeah.
Coach, we made the Brandon Ingram trade. We talked about it. It didn't make sense at the time. I still don't know if it makes sense. The way I look at it is we have a lesser version of the Nick Nurse team that won 41 games a couple of years ago. So instead of, Fred, Pascal, and OG, we have IQ, Scotty, and Brandon Ingram, which is a worse version, in my opinion. Brandon Ingram has looked pretty good. He looks healthy. What does he do for the Raptors this season? The Raptors won 31 games last year. How does he make the Raptors a playing team? Because I'm not going any further than that, guys. I'm sorry.
I think he makes him a playing team just by being healthy. If he's healthy with his game that he has right now, we haven't had a player like Brandon Ingram since Pascal. Now, they have different games. I don't like the comparison between the two because people will compare them, but they have different games. Pascal, much more, he was better, I found, inside. His footwork was much better. Ingram is just more guard-oriented. You can tell he was brought up in probably AAU in college to play a little bit of guard and wing, where Pascal wasn't quite that. Pascal developed it over time, but Ingram has had more time to do that. So they have different games that way. I think a lot is going to be put on Brandon Ingram. And I had this conversation with Kenyon, and we all kind of have, I think. Brandon Ingram's going to have a large amount of the scoring load this year. And if he doesn't produce, you do kind of wonder what's next. So Brandon Ingram just being healthy, and I just pray that he gives us 60 games. Might be a lot to ask for. I think he's only done that once in his career, played more than 60, once or twice. He's just got to be healthy. I think if he's healthy, he's in the prime of his career. He's a gym rat. Everyone says that he just lives in the gym, and I think that's great. But his skill set we have not had in a long time. Like he can actually dribble and shoot.
He can drive the lane and not lose the ball off his foot.
He can actually kind of a crossover pull up on someone. I mean, sorry, we just haven't had that type of skill set on the team for quite a while. And so it's encouraging to see. I'll just make this last point because you were right. Like last year, the Ingram trade in the vacuum, I loved it because I'm like, oh, we got a guy who could score a little bit. What was confusing about it was, as hopeful and some of us have talked about, was we were told for 4 months that rebuild was like the gospel right now for us. And now you're telling us something different. We're going to get Brandon Ingram. I think that was what was confusing for a lot of people, as it was for myself.
Yeah. It was, I don't want to say it was a bad deal, but when you're trading first round picks, when you're supposed to be rebuilding, it's a little confusing. Beyond Brandon Ingram, a player that Masai has chased for years and got, and despite the fact that he got him, he's no longer the GM of the team, something we'll get into later. He looked healthy beyond. He was taking a lot of threes. He was driving the lane. what do you expect from him, and how will he improve this team, possibly make us a play-in team?
Well, I hope this result's better than Thad Young.
Me too.
But I think right now the number everyone should be concerned about, or at least keep an eye on, and I've heard it through a few different Raptor podcasts. I think now reality's starting to hit folks as now the season's approaching, and Coach just mentioned it. The number beside Brandon Ingram, number of games, period. I got 4 items in this team that if 3 of the 4 do not come to fruition, we ain't playing the spring, okay? And that is one of them. If number of games and he's below 60, it's been fun, boys. All right, it's been
lottery.
Fun.
Lottery, here we come.
Exactly. He has to be playing 60-plus games. And the stat I think I heard the other night from either yourself or Coach or someone else, where I think he's only had about, 2 seasons where he's played over 60
Correct.
games?
That is correct.
I'll just leave it at that. So to me, that's a big one. And I think I think the other thing to watch is kind of his internal struggle of how patient does Brandon Ingram stay.
Yes.
I find that fascinating to watch.
We already saw it in the preseason, Beyond, where he was just like, I'm not waiting around. I'm just shooting this ball every time I come out.
It's going to be a fascinating dynamic to see how that plays out, man, because you should have an over under how many games before he kind of pretty much lets go of the rope. I don't know, but we'll see. And I'm going to be fascinated to see how long that lasts. But that's the other thing. And the third part is, which I think we got our answer for that one, is Willie Helm's second units and how much. And it looks like he's going to be kind of like they're going to put the full load on him, man. That he taking all the luggage out, man. He got that. He got the shoe bag. He got the backpack. They're telling him to bring it all out. So if anyone thought that Brandon Ingram was going to be like, okay, we'll just kind of baby him and stuff like that, I was like, oh no. I mean, Darko's bringing out the fancy car out for the ride, boy. He's going to 0 to 100, boy, quick. He's trying to win around.
I just found it so interesting that Darko, during his press conference, said, we know what Brandon Ingram is. We want him to be himself. He's a scorer. But then right after that, he said, we're looking forward to how he passes the ball to the other players. And I'm like, really? Really? That's what you brought him here for? To pass to other players? We'll get to Darko later, guys. I'm trying to be calm. Beyond, I'm telling you right now, I'm putting the over-under on the end of October with Brandon Ingram giving them the Kenyon look. And you guys know what I'm talking about. The Kenyon look is coming out before the end of October with him and Darko. I'm telling you.
The end of October?
Yep.
No,
that's only 10 days away.
No. I don't think we're playing 10 games in October, are we? No way.
Listen, man. If Darko tells him to pass the ball when he's open, it's going to happen.
No, I know what you're saying, but October is almost done, man. We might have 3 or 4 games.
Let's do 10 games in, okay? I'm telling you, there's going to be a timeout or something, and there's going to be a conversation, and Brandon Ingram's going to give that sleepy kind of look, and then just shoot the basketball when he wants.
Possibly. I think that's a bit quick for him. I think there is political machinations involved that I don't think you're going to see that from Ingram. I think there's other clocks that are much more fascinating coming up in this case here. I'll say that. I'll just say that. That might require some more scrutiny later on. But, I don't think Brandon Ingram we got to worry about at the moment, though.
We'll get to that, though. We'll get to that. Yeah. Kenyon, your thoughts on Brandon Ingram?
Yeah, I mean, I won't directly answer your question, but what I'll say is you asked what he does for them. I'll talk about on the whole. He makes them watchable.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, it's like I was
it was jarring, Kenyon. During the preseason, it was so jarring watching him play and remembering how the Raptors were last year. I'm like, wow, that's different.
Yeah, I mean, how do I put it? It's almost like people have forgotten that we've had players that are better than him.
Well, it's been a long time, Kenyon.
Yeah, I totally hear you. But yeah, but from a perimeter standpoint, it has been quite some time. And what I will say is that not only does he make them watchable, I actually want to defend Brandon Ingram just a little bit here. Number one, I think that he is incentivized to make it work.
Sure,
I don't think that he's like a malcontent or anything like that. I think
Oh no,
we got to forget we often forget that New Orleans has been notoriously bad as an organization, both from an injury management standpoint. Now, yes, the damage is done, and you got to, there's scar tissue, and you got to, sometimes the surgeon looks at it as, oh, snap, right? Like, I don't know about this one. Is he insured? Right? Like, fair enough, right? So, yes, there is that aspect of it, but I think that there is that. I think also, to be honest, like Brandon Ingram, he does actually pass, funny enough, because he was forced into that role because his co-star wasn't around. So, and then at one point, every single time they tried to pair him with the point guard went down. So at some point, it was him. So he's learned a lot. I think in terms of the most quote unquote complete player on this roster, especially from an offensive standpoint, he's it. Doesn't get much better than him. I mean, there's things that he does, and I'm like, man, I'd love Grady to get to that point. Maybe he does, especially from the secondary reads. I think Grady from the primary reads, when he drives in, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes he drives into traffic. But I mean, he need to watch Brandon Ingram a little bit more. I think, so from that standpoint, I think it's great. To Beyond's point, yeah, I mean, you paid the guy a lot of money. You got his, all of a sudden you look at the list, right? Yeah, here's the list. Oh, and popcorn, sir. He has the yes, boss. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I think the thing is, he made several comments which I really, really like, and he's basically like, look, I had a long injury. I'm paraphrasing here. So I had a long injury. I was cleared to go in the summer, and basically I'm tired of practicing against my damn teammates. I want real competition.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get the season started. And you can tell that. I mean, he's kind of going half speed or whatever, and his half speed looks really, really good, but he's ready to go. So I think that, yes, the games played is going to be a factor for him for sure. Although it might not, because depending on which way the season goes, you might have to scratch this one out for a games play, because say you play him to All-Star, depending on how the team is, we don't have to get into it too much today. You might just say, listen, man, you done well. Your contracts were, we like how you look. You can sit down, right? So we will see. But he gives them a puncher's chance on a night-to-night basis, because he can toss up 50.
Sure.
And that counts for something. Now, who's going to come along for the ride on a night-to-night basis? We'll find out. We can talk about preseason, but preseason is preseason. We got to see what happens in the actual, when the games actually start. And so far, there's still a little bit of a question mark of if he has enough guys to come along for the ride with him on a night-to-night basis.
All right, Coach, I'm going to break your heart here a little bit, and I apologize in advance. We appointed Bobby Webster, much to my chagrin, as the current GM taking over from Masai. I'm not going to get into the whys or the ifs and why I'm not happy about it, but what I will ask you is, will his first move be trading your boy RJ Barrett?
I think his first move will be trading the guy that never get extended today, Ochai Agbaji. I think the contract is easier to move. I think Ochai has a particular skill set that teams, competing teams for that matter, would take. Shoot corner threes and defend a bit. And I think with RJ, you're making more of a commitment to his particular skill set. So I think Ochai is the guy. Now, would I be shocked if RJ went? Probably not at this point, because we heard all the rumors this summer. They were everywhere about him being traded. And, certainly that's, as a player, that's not the easiest thing to manage all the time, especially in RJ's case. And I know we've discussed this before. His biggest value in the NBA is right here. He doesn't have the same value anywhere else. I think Kenyon had mentioned that to me, and I think he's correct on that.
Yeah.
But I think Ochai is the move, easier contract, and plus he's up at the end of this year. They didn't extend him, so I suspect he'll be the first out the door in a move to get either a pick or a player that fits better. Because we have a lot of small wings right now, you have too many of them, and you have no bigs because it's you and I have spoken mouth. We've been like, we the short or we the Smurfs. Like we got to get bigger.
Yeah, that's what we are. We the shorts and we the Smurfs. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I'm watching, my boy Ware, who in my opinion will be the most improved player in the NBA this year. And for those gamblers out there, I'm going to be placing a wager on it, along with Malawatch, who is looking great for Phoenix in the preseason and would look great in our uniform. But no, we had to go small again. And again, this is not anything against CMB, who's only 6'6", and Jonathan Mobile, who's a 6'6" center. Okay, I just don't get it. But we had plenty of opportunities, and we had a guy named Dan come out and say we don't feel like developing centers, which led to the release of another guy who we drafted last year in Chomchi. So we don't even have someone in the pipes that can come up. So I don't know what the plan is. Small ball works for Golden State. I'm not sure it works for the Raptors. But beyond, I know you've got a different answer for this. What's the first major move of Bobby? Is it going to be RJ or something bigger, or is it going to be just Ochai?
I'll say this. I think it's going to be incremental. I don't think that move's not going to happen. Like once again, I hate to say it, but like moving RJ is very political. You better be right when you trade RJ. So like for a guy in this case has a tenuous situation at the moment, I don't think, because don't forget, there's a few different audiences he's playing to, right? There's the fans as one group. There's obviously in this case here his own team, and then there's upper management, and all of them have different things of why they value or not value RJ. And upper management say, "Hey, we sell a lot of jerseys with RJ, okay?"
Okay, yeah, he's popular here,
right? We got a good connection with Basketball Canada. We're doing what? And so it might not be as obvious to some fans to say, "Oh, RJ is good." I'm not so sure about that as time's gone on over the offseason. But the old Ochai, I put the old Grinch smile today, the old Grinch gift today, because I was very happy to see that little piece of news, come across with Ochai, which makes me think like, okay, Bobby is awake at the wheel, and that would be the logical move to make. I wish it was sooner, but fair enough. I will hope that moves towards a Ochai move at some point. Me, I'm with you. You're talking about we the Smurfs. And that was my next question of the four possible questions that don't get answered properly. And it's now moved up in priority because Pirtle was always going to be an issue in this case of how much you have to rely on him. And now since we got pretty much him and pretty much, the Lilliputians behind him, now I don't know what you expect now. So they hope they find, they got young Reese in this case here. Give him a shot. Great. But if not, the spot's open, make a move or something to get yourself a legit big if you don't think Reese is it. But yeah, to me that's the first move. I think we'll see where things go. With Kenyon's favorite player in this case here, Shed, who I think I've slid a little bit more over to the, he's a survivor boy. I tell you, I ain't Jeff Probst, but the torch is getting warmed up a little bit for Shed. I ain't saying you there yet, but if I'm Jeff Probst, boy, I'm lighting the flint right now, saying, "Yo, man, it get dicey for Flint for Shed." I like him, but I ain't gonna lie, I'll keep it real, man. He ain't off the island yet, but he might want to get his bags packed just in case when he goes off for decision time.
Yeah. Well, mentioning the health of Ingram was a great point, guys, but I'm going to mention this health issue. If Jakob Poeltl is hurt at any point this season, and we've seen him get hurt for 10, 15 games a season since he's been here, the Raptors are done. If he gets hurt, they're finished. Even if Ingram plays, they're finished. Beyond.
Just to go back to the point about the height and size, and be it to your point, Ingram, I'm sitting here watching this Rockets Thunder game. Now, we know Oklahoma City to be pretty big, but this Houston team is enormous.
How do you like Adams and the boys? Huh?
What? The smallest guy is 6'7", Thompson.
Yeah.
I'm watching. I'm like, holy. I mean, I'm not saying they want it to happen. Obviously not. But Fred being injured and seeing the type of team they could put out there now, I'm like, holy. And that goes back to our point about what world are the Raptors living in. I'm watching. These are supposed to be two. They were literally the top two seeds last year, and they're enormous. I'm looking here, it's like, what are you offering here, Raptors? Are you serious? Playing against teams like this where you want to be? Like, come on. And on a side note, I only watched a few minutes so far. I haven't heard really the telecast, but I'm just looking at the look of it. NBC, boy. You're delivering what expected, boy. Let me tell you something. Just on a standpoint, I've seen shots I've never seen before. I'm like, these are some 2K shots I'm seeing out here, folks, where it's like they're down on the floor. Like if you're watching from the sideline. And guys look enormous out there. Like Hartenstein looked like a monster out there. It's like, oh, damn. Sometimes they're trailing the play. Where you're watching the play, you don't see anybody else on the weak side. You're just following the pick or something. It's like, oh, whoa. It's like, so, hey, man, I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the telecast looks like. But on that side note, man, so far, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Hopeful we've had this convo. Please tell our audience what's Bobby's first big move this season, based on, we're going to get into predictions, but this is sort of the predictions section here.
I won't focus on like what I think should be his first move. Instead, I'll say what's the most obvious move, and he's already hinted to it, right? When he was asked about different contracts, right? Because by the way, Coach, RJ was extension eligible too. But RJ is under contract next year.
Yeah, he is.
So I don't have to make that move if I don't want to. As he said, I'm not really worried about the luxury tax because in one quick move I can get out. That's a quick move. They're about $3 million into the tax. I think 2.8 or whatever. If you want to be particular,
it's not a
lot. They're just below a Garrett Temple amount.
Ochai.
So that's why Ochai fits in, because Ochai makes 6.5. So that gets you under and makes you a little bit more.
Thank you for reminding me, Kenyon, that Garrett Temple is still on this roster.
Yeah,
hey, man, it's great to be a 14th man, man.
It's a perfect transition into a new type of situation where you're wearing a polo.
Yeah. I didn't mind him when it was Jamal McGlure all those years. I just don't want to see it anymore.
That's a little different though. But he ain't here no more.
No.
So here's what I'll say is Ochai is the most obvious thing. I mean, to your point, I'll even go back to something that you mentioned. CMB starting the year and Jacoby, they're both starting the year injured. Yep. Okay, so your backup 3 of sorts, or your backup wing, if you want to put wing/forward, is technically supposed to be CMB. The minutes are there for him to have.
Yeah.
The problem is, and that's how they've been, he's because that who has he been guarding in practice? Who has he been in with groups? It hasn't been like Bobo with the big guys. It's been with Scotty and Ingram.
Yeah.
So at that point, who is your backup? 3 or like for those two dudes, it's Ochai, who's 6'4". He's a small version of PJ Tucker.
Yep.
Now, this is not gonna. I think the problem is people are so focused on any move needs to lead to directly to an improvement, or I think we have to take a different approach. Is that some of these moves, like an Ochai move, may not be satisfying in the moment, but may be satisfying down the road. Because at the end of the day, as Bobby said, there's another thing that he said. He said a lot of things without giving the exact tidbits that they wanted. So we have a lot of young guys.
Yeah.
And then he paused. He said, we probably have too many young guys. So I think what he's referring to is at the guard rotation / wing rotation, not including CMB specifically, you have a lot of guys. You have to clear up some of that to figure out who's going to be here and who's not going to be here. And I think one of the things is that Ochai, if he's here, you got to find minutes for him somehow. And he is I think he could help out another team for sure. I don't know if that spot is best used on him for this specific team, but we'll find out.
Okay, let's get to Darko, my favorite coach in the NBA. Hence the sarcasm, guys. Coach, how, and pun intended, Coach, how hot is Darko's seat? Because I think it's on fire. Because there are expectations now. This is not the tanking. Oh, we're trading all these people. We're letting them grow. You get to learn and smile and have pizza parties in the locker room. No, this is a team that's expected to win now. How hot is the seat for you? Will you four? We'll go from 1 fire to 5 fire. How hot is Darko's seat this year? Is there any chance he gets fired this year?
I think right now it's about a 2, but depending on where this team's at in 1 month or 2 months from now, it could go to 5 pretty quick because the expectations are not just for him, they're on for Bobby too. He's got to prove it to the board that they're moving in the right direction because if they're not, you're going to see some big changes come real quick. And it always starts with the coach in any sport. So Darko going to Brandon Ingram a lot this year or putting his faith in his coaching life in Brandon Ingram, it's not a bad idea, quite honestly, because you look at the rest of the team, you're not going to get that type of scoring from the other guys. The only other guy that might be able to give you that in time is Grady Dick. And I just don't know if Grady's going to be at that level of Brandon Ingram this year or not. I doubt it. He might not get the minutes too, but he's the only one who I can see it might be able to eventually punch up to that. So I would say Darko right now, it's about a 2, and it could punch up to a 5 in 1 month. If this team in the next first 20 games, let's just say they're like 5-15, Darko's seat is like it's on fire. Like you say, it's lava. But you mentioned a point earlier. That was my last point on Darko. He likes to play democracy ball. Let's share the ball. In theory, that's great. Here's the problem. The NBA or basketball in general has never really been a democracy. It's always been a monarchy. The best players score, and the best players lead you to championships. Kawhi Leonard led us to a championship. Giannis led the Milwaukee Bucks to a championship. They never come out averaging, 13 assists a game, scoring 20 points. No, it was like 35 points, 3 assists or 4 assists, because you have to give it to the best players to score. If let's just say Ingram's balling out and he's playing well, looking like an all-star, don't just take away 18 to 20 shots from him and give him 10 shots. That doesn't make any sense. So Darko, they're going to have to change how they play a little bit.
Don't Siakam Brandon Ingram, basically, is what you're saying.
Pretty much, yeah. Just put him in the spots where he succeeds. Like he just tried to put Siakam in a spot where Klay Thompson succeeds. That's never been Siakam's game.
Guys, I don't have a lot of faith in Darko. I'm just letting the guys talk. I think I've made my feelings well known about Darko. I think his seat is hotter than you can imagine. But the only thing keeping him there is a player we'll get to end this show, which is Scotty. And Bob, I don't know if Bobby was the guy who was responsible for hiring this guy, but Bobby's seat is just as hot as his, so he can't wait around for Darko to develop anymore. Beyond, how hot is Darko's seat?
Well, I think for the most part, Darko and Bobby pretty much are tied together at this point. I don't think there's really one without the other. Like, in some ways, Bobby's put his faith in the Darko. And if Darko goes, it ain't like Bobby's got a card to play based on the contract. He could put a dude in if he wants to, but like if I'm looking at it from the standpoint of Pelly and stuff like that, then I'm starting anew. Like, why am I going to be looking around and going to have you hire another dude when you hired this dude and we see no results? So why am I going to trust you to go and hire another dude? So I think Darko. I think right now Darko. The date I'm looking at is January 1st. And January 1st is where, depending on where this team is, if it really bottoms out, for example, I think at that point all bets are off on a lot of things. If it bottoms out, if it's going half decent and like they're kind of hovering around 500, he'll survive. He'll survive.
Yeah. Does Bobby get to hire another coach, or is he gone with Darko?
I think Darko determines if he actually has an extension. If Darko puts together a half decent season, to your point, they make the playoffs, then everyone's happy and everyone's getting roast beef. It's all good.
Or pizza, yes. There are lots of pizza parties at that point.
Right. In this case, in the circumstances, yeah. But if not, like it's pretty black and white. Like it's for once in the Raptors' tenure, in this case, in this version of the Raptors, it's not that complicated.
No, I think when you fire Masai, all hands are on deck.
Yeah.
At this, there's no beating around the bush now. You gotta win, or you gotta show significant improvement. Hopeful.
So I think one of the things is I heard this recently, as if it was like some magical secret, that Ed Rogers wasn't happy about Masai being distracted with Giants of Africa. Like duh. There's a reason why near the end the guy started showing up at games. And there's also a reason why Bobby in this preseason is not in the tunnel, but he's literally front and center where the camera can pan over to him. Right? Well, optics matter. Sorry, you were saying?
Yeah. No, I'm just going to say to your point, if I'm Bobby right now, if you looking to get a few favors done right now, Ed's in a real good mood right now. So I would do so.
No doubt.
Right now, the next few days. Yeah.
No doubt. Keep that train rolling, please.
Get your buddy to go get center. You might want that.
Are you saying that he might just bump into Ohtani on the way in the airport?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what Bobby was here for. Just like, excuse me. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, man.
Oh, sorry. Are you Ohtani? I thought, I thought you were the other guy whose plane landed. The Dragon's Den, dude. No, that was embarrassing, by the way. It's like, anyways, there's a lot of ways I can take that one. But what I'll say is this, right, with Bobby and Darko and all that. Number one, Darko did improve last year in some ways. He's still a bad coach, in my opinion. But he improved. He did improve. Now, the problem is actually, before I get into that, I do want to give him praise on certain things, because I think that in some ways they saw the writing on the wall, but they made the wrong moves. So they saw that, okay, this offense wasn't working, the Nick Nurse style offense, a more old school style offense isn't working. We need to modernize the offense. We need more delay action. We just need more ball movement in general. Now, one of the reasons why Nick Nurse did his style of offense was on purpose, because Nick Nurse coaches 100% to his personnel, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a happy medium. There's some sort of balance there to have where it's like, okay, because I even heard Quinn Snyder say this exact thing where he was comparing his tenure on the Jazz versus even now. He basically was talking about how, like, I learned these things from the Spurs. I wanted to implement these things, and I waited to implement these things, and I kept giving this data back to management to say, this is how I want to play. These are the players that I need. Now, Darko, to give him some slack, this is a terribly put together team in terms of how the pieces fit.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Now, is Darko Eric Spo? No.
Okay.
No Spo.
No Spo.
But I think it's very easy to just put it all on that guy without the dude that just left and the dude that's right above him that hired him.
Yeah.
Who the dude that left said that hired him.
Yeah.
So there,
True.
yeah.
No, I want to just follow up with what you just said just now and ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the personnel that we've got in the last couple of years has been more of the hands of Masai / Bobby, or more from Darko what he wants?
You want my honest opinion? I think it's a group kumbaya, which is not good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think everyone's at fault for that.
We all saw the draft together, guys. They didn't know who they were picking.
Yeah, well, I think Bobby knew who he was picking, but that's a whole other thing. But I think at the end of the day, because there's a reason why we haven't seen the War Room, is what I'll say for once.
Right.
Because I do think that someone felt this way and the other person felt this way, and
I think
this is how we decided. But sorry to focus it back again here is that, like, modernizing the offense was the right decision. I think it just flat out the Nick Nurse style of offense wore down on the players, combined with the defensive style. It just that's not a style that unless you have an OKC model of where you have real prospects coming in every 2-3 years, or you're getting an injection of talent, your legs are going to just die slowly.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's what happened.
Yeah.
I'll speak up for Nick Nurse on this one because I'm looking at, if I look and see what he's done in Philadelphia, let's take the one good year that MB played, he won MVP.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing the offense that one Masai Ujiri asked to have played here, where it's center hub. Also, MB was looking like a little bit like Jokic out there, getting like 7-8 assists a game and stuff like that. And which I must admit, I didn't think he was that good of a passer. But I was like, oh damn, like he was hitting.
No, he could pass.
Yeah. So
I hear you. Versus Precious.
Right. To be fair to Nick, right? Exactly. Like, yeah. Good luck with those guys. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. Right?
Yeah. Like, I hear you, and that's why I said at the end of the day, I can't put it all on Darko when management is here. What I can put on Darko is all of a sudden a man that likes to gamble starts strolling in and he says, I came here because of Darko. Right? It was jingle in his pockets.
Right.
I
guess the point to follow up is that I think Darko's actually has more autonomy on this roster than Nick Nurse had any time on the roster he had.
Agreed.
I agree, but why is that?
Oh, I know why.
To me, part of it is because the last dude argued too much with me.
Yeah, exactly. Because they knew in this case, and Nick got the players he wanted, Nick wasn't giving up that power.
Right. So at some point, like this goes back to what I was saying. The person who architected this with all the pieces of the puzzle that don't quite fit, and maybe you might fit, and then all of a sudden now people are coming out and they're like, I don't want to misquote them, but I believe Sampson and Lewis were discussing this, and Lewis pointed out a couple things. The offense looks a little bit better with Brandon Ingram, nowhere near as good as they thought. He doesn't think that the offense is going to be. I don't think he suggested that they would be top 18 at any offense or defense. So,
no, I don't think.
Good luck making the playoffs.
I don't think they're a top 10 offense or defense. No.
Yeah, he said not top 18.
Oh well, yeah. I think they're definitely in the bottom half.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Again, yes, part of it is the personnel, part of it is coaching. There's a lot of blame ply, as they say, to go around. But at the same time, as much as I have sounded like I'm singing his praises, yes, he is going to be on the hot seat. This is a year where everyone. I think temperatures are now starting to cool, but coming in, there was a lot of people saying, we will have 2 All-Stars. We will be top 6. It is a weak East. So if it is so weak, prove it to me. That's all.
Did you mean 2K All-Stars or actual NBA?
I mean actual. People are saying, this is not me. This is not Twitch. This is 2 All-Stars is what I have heard. By some measures.
Well, we have to remember too, this is the U.S. versus the world, right? This isn't the classic way that we're used to. That's 12 American players that make the roster.
Yeah.
That kind of limits. I'm sorry, it limits a lot of players, quite honestly, for All-Stars.
Yeah.
I mean, some players could switch nationalities. Give them a better chance.
That's true.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, since we're getting into the 2 All-Star talk, which is a perfect segue, let's talk about Scotty Barnes. Oh, our friend Scotty Barnes. God, he was awful in the preseason. I don't know how to sugarcoat it, guys. He was awful in the preseason. If Darko's idea is to make him a spot-up shooter, it's not going to be a pretty season for him or the Raptors. If he turns into the guy who plays Brooklyn, then we might have a chance here. But this is a guy who did not hit a single 3, was not aggressive, looked like he was pouting on the court, was making spin moves in the post and passing it to guys from the other team because he didn't want to back down on anyone. I have not seen anything different from Scotty Barnes in the preseason that I haven't seen from the past. Am I missing anything, guys, or should I expect any improvement from this guy at all other than being a defensive player who can't shoot the basketball and refuses to be aggressive on offense? Beyond.
Well, Okay, let's look at what was so different about Brooklyn besides Brooklyn's lousy defense in the first half. But let's
Yes.
look at what they did, right? And I made an observation I posted on X. I said, this is the most I've seen Scotty screen in who knows how long. And it was purposeful. They were like, it was like some old school, like, let's take Raptor history, like where it's like Ibaka's trying to set the screen for Lowry on the left. It didn't work. We try to set it on the right. I'm like, who is this dude out here? Because I never seen that from Scotty Barnes before. And I think the realization came to them very quickly that, listen, you have an individual right now that does not have the skill set required to pull off some of the stuff you want him to pull off, right? So if I hear people say, oh, play Scotty in the post. How? Scotty doesn't have the capable footwork to play in the post.
And he doesn't want to play there. He does not want to be in the post. It's obvious.
No, well, that's a whole nother discussion, right? Is like you have to have a certain mindset. And even when you get to your point, and Kenyon's made this a million times, when you get some smalls on him, he's not fully really taking advantage of smalls in the post. So never mind guys his own size or guys in this case that are bigger than him. Where when you get guys that are bigger than him now, he can't really beat most of them off the dribble. So now it's like, okay, because the handle's not tight enough. And he's concerned about putting it in traffic. It's like, okay, so then what's next? Okay, can you have him as a pick and pop guy? Well, not really, because the mid-range, in this case, jumper, that is not really consistent, but that might be your best option, the three I just mentioned. So what's the other possibility? Well, just move him down, get him, screen him so he can get going downhill. They usually try to do it through DHOs. The problem with DHOs is that, you know what? Everyone knows the DHO is coming, and therefore getting the ball to Scotty on a DHO gets to be a very problematic thing, right? Because either one or two things happens. They could trap him quickly, depending who's getting the DHO up to him. They get this Pirtle, and you're 20 feet from the rim. Who cares about guarding Pirtle out there? It doesn't matter. So they just get you trapping, right? So whoop-de-doo. Or if you have two guys the same size, like, okay, you have your DHO to Scotty. I just switch my guy and beat him around the corner. And now he's got to pull back out now and try to set up something flat-footed. You can't beat a guy off flat-footed. So the only other way you can do it is to screen, which we've been saying on Basketball Rewind for about 2 years. Screen, screen, screen. Because when it's all said and done, he may not like to hear it. He may not want it, but you have to eat his Brussels sprouts. He's a power forward.
Yeah.
Until he realizes he's a power
You're
forward.
You're a power forward. Get to the line.
He's not a small forward. He's not a guard. He's a power forward. That's my 2 cents with it. And that's the reason why his performance looks so much better in Brooklyn than what you saw for the rest of the preseason. But this is the problem. We've seen this little game happen a few times in the past. And it happens for a game or two, and then we're right back to where we were again afterwards. So to me, this is what I'm going to sit here and watch for the next couple of weeks to see how long they stick with this of potentially screening him. So I'll give the mic up to the rest of the guys and what their thoughts are.
Coach, Scotty Barnes is not only polarizing, but a very frustrating player to watch, which is why I'm happy Brandon Ingram is on the team, because it makes them more watchable, along with my boy Grady, who's now on the bench. Coach, what does Darko have to do to get it into Scotty's mind that he needs to play downhill and aggressive and get to the line?
I don't know if Darko's the right coach for that.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean,
yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. You're talking about just in general from a coach. Not trying to kind of dodge your question, but I'll just say this. The last move that Masai made was to go get Brandon Ingram, because I think he realized, don't know if Scotty is your franchise number one option, scoring option for a basketball team. And he realized that Ingram, who was available on the market and for relatively cheap, gives you a bit of hope for that. And I think they're also banking on that little 10-game or 15-game time that he had 2 years ago, where he was averaging like 24 points and 10 rebounds and shooting out of his mind.
Siakam and OG were still on the team.
It's still on the team. I think they're banking on that. But I think, look, Bobby kind of hit the nail on the head to answer your original question. He's got the baseline is you got to bring energy, you got to play defense, and you got to rebound. Now, I've told these guys this. If I'm saying that about my franchise guy, that's a little concerning to me. And you made the comment about, oh, you have a baby, you grow up. That was interesting. I'll just put it that way. I've never really heard that in those words before, say that about a franchise guy. And we're going to see moving forward, I guess, what this is going to look like for Scotty, because he has to be more consistent. You can't have these games, as Beyond has pointed out. You can't go score 35 in LA one night and go don't score a point in Charlotte the next night. Like that franchise guys don't work that way. He doesn't have to be average 30 a game. I don't think he ever will. But I do think if his efficiency goes up, let's just say he has a higher field goal percentage, but he has less points. Let's just say the rebounds and assist numbers stay about the same. Let's just say his shot selection is better. He's not listening to Darko tell him to take 10 threes. Silly. Don't do that. Imagine Mike Budenholzer told Giannis to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's just silly. So there is a pathway where Scotty actually can become an effective player where you definitely need him. But I think the question is the expectation's too much to put on him as the franchise guy. And I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Hopefully, you talked about Grady's wild inconsistencies with his shot. How does Scotty Barnes do for you? 1 point, 10 points, 7 points, 31 points. What Scotty Barnes are we getting? Are we getting the one that's shooting 20% from three?
Or are we getting the one that's lines, by the way, Bo?
Yeah.
What are we getting from this guy? Does anyone know?
Yeah, so I'll say this. First of all, with Grady, I've never said he's inconsistent in terms of the shot type. I've said that he needs to finish at the rim better. I just want that to be clear.
Scotty, by the way.
Scotty's actually been decent at finishing at the rim, but he's still below league average. It's just he's 55%. So of between him, RJ, and Grady, I think he has at least the best case to say like at least put him by the rim. Here's what I will say. And I'm going to send you something. You may want to share this on screen at some point. Just consider that. And that there is the roadmap if you do decide to share it. What I will say is this. He compared himself to Draymond Green. Now, when you say he should play like a little bit like Draymond Green, Aaron Gordon compared himself to him. He said he could be the 2.0 version. It's an insult now when he's admitting, I would love to play like that. It shouldn't be an insult to play like a Hall of Fame player. For it to work and for it to work on like for the team to be built around Scotty in its current iteration, that's how he has to play. He has to play like the Nets game, or he has to really just hone in on the dirty work, and that's it. It's you have to pick a lane. What I will say is so far he's done a really good job of rebounding the ball, and the defense has actually looked much better and much more consistent throughout. If you look at the entirety of preseason, now he only did play, I think, what was it, 3 games or something like that? Or was it 4? There was 3. Okay,
4.
So 4 games he played. So across the 4 games, the first half of the first game wasn't great, if I'm being nitpicky, but overall, it was a little bit less discipline there. But if we're talking about rhythm, the defensive rhythm was better, from there on out. To be fair, and I think the rebounding was good. Focus on that. Yeah. I mean, these are the things that Bobby said to him. He needs to lead with defense, rebounding, energy, keeping it together with the team, and leadership, right? So focus on that. Stay in your lane. I'm just saying, like that. The boss who gave you the contract at some level, you want to don't share it. You may want to open it and share your screen with it because it's the shot. Right. What it is it's actually the shot chart.
Yeah.
From the Brooklyn game.
Yeah.
And so that would be the first thing. I think the challenge right now is that we don't really have a good offensive initiator. No. And I know the plan on offense right now is to survive off of a pseudo Nick Nurse style where you're creating a lot of turnovers and thriving off of transition. Now, in the past, we had better transition scores. Everyone thought OG was a good transition scorer. He was terrible in transition. Okay. Correct. Scotty in transition, I now know the numbers. Do you know what he was last year out of all NBA players? You don't have to say percentile. Just say, tell me where he ranked in terms of transition efficiency.
Oh, Lord.
All players in the NBA. Just take a guess.
I don't think it was good. I don't.
Yeah.
It
So where
wasn't.
would you
It
put it?
wasn't
There's
good.
400 and I think
Um,
25 active players or
but
430.
in the bottom part, he's got to be pretty low. He's in the bottom part of the league.
Okay. Anyone else want to put a number on it? I want to see
400.
who's
I
close.
don't know.
I don't know, like
400.
250.
Okay, beyond.
300.
He was 350.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. Bottom third. Yeah.
Now, I was speaking to an Ingram fan recently, and he was talking about Scotty and how he's such a great, efficiency in this type of play type, and he's not. Now part of it, yes, could be that he spent a lot more time initiating things. The flip side is you could say that he spent a lot more. He should be spending a lot more time as a play finisher. We will see how that plays out. Right now, the problem is that if he's not initiating the break and it's quickly, do you trust quickly? Probably not.
No.
And then
Which we haven't talked about, by the way. There's only so much time on the show.
Of course. And then for Ingram, it's like you probably want Ingram to start the break, but at the same time, Ingram's a good finisher. So there has been moments where Ingram's been running the break and he's dished it to Scotty or whoever, and it's looked decent. I don't know if those numbers are going to be elite with, again, the current construction where guys are fanning out to, and even just the time it takes for guys to figure it out from the standpoint of chemistry. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, looking at the way, and I know it's just preseason, but the way they were trying to play and the way Darko was speaking throughout the preseason, they're trying to get as many points as possible off steals and transition. That's obvious because maybe Darko knows or doesn't know, their half-court offense is going to struggle. And if you watched in the preseason, they were not very good shooting threes. And so he's going to be relying a lot on gambling on defense to try to get transition buckets to lead to success for their offense. Having said that, we're almost at the end of the show, guys, because, Coach has a kid and I don't want to keep him for too much longer. We have a great Houston OKC game, and I don't want to miss Michael Jordan on the halftime because that's going to be just legendary in its own right. Coach, I'll start with you. Give me a prediction for the Raptors. You can do record. You can do whether they're going to make the playoffs, whether they're going to be in the lottery play-in. What are the Raptors going to do this year?
I think they'll be in the play-in. That could vary from 7 to 10. I think the high end would be 7. I think their minimum goal this year, you got to make play-in. You can't be 12 in the East. That's when things are going to get blown up.
Basically. I think everybody gets fired if they're out of play.
Yeah, I think they're somewhere between 7 and 10. I think the people like to say how weak the East is, but the middle part of the East got better with Orlando and Atlanta. That's the difference, and that's where you're trying to get to, I would assume, realistically. So I have them anywhere from 7 to 10. 7 if they're healthy, 10 if you're struggling. It's a grind this year.
Yeah, and if Embiid is healthy and he looks healthy in the preseason, it looks like he's lost some weight, and Nurse has got him going. And VJ Edgecombe, my goodness, who's already starting for them, because Paul George is still doing podcasts instead of playing basketball. They're going to be in the playoffs, and I think ahead of the Raptors. So there are teams that are not in the playoffs that are going to move up. So I agree with you there. Beyond, what do you think the Raptors will be this year?
Anywhere between 34 to 37 wins. Maybe I could squeak up 38 wins. I think they barely hang in there for maybe they get the 10th seed. At best, So I think systemically I can't, like, my brain, my basketball brain can't wrap around the math that works out where you're a poor defensive team. You have big time players that are always considered to be hurt, and you're relying on on a bunch of pieces that quite honestly don't fit well, and you don't have a coach in this case that I have a lot of confidence in. And somehow I'm supposed to believe that team all of a sudden is going to be a top 4, top 5, top 6 team. But really? I'm like, you think? Okay, fair enough. If you believe so, fine, man. I'm sure there's some swamp land I can sell you, but I don't see it, man. I see it as a 10 seed.
Yeah, and I pretty much completely agree with Beyond, so I'm not going to speak too much. But, you also have a franchise player just starting the first year of his max deal, who we still don't know what he is or who he is. And it got more complicated this season with the addition of Brandon Ingram. I don't think it makes it easier for Scotty. We still don't know what he is. And he's in his fifth season now, starting a max deal. That's another factor. Yes, everything Beyond said. Coach, defense, a very messed up roster with a confusing offense leads to around 38 wins, perhaps. With injuries, possibly less. 7 to 10. I'm going to go closer to 10, and possibly, if the injury history that I have seen continues, possibly out of the playoffs, and then everyone gets fired. That's where I am at. Hopefully, you can finish it off. What will the Raptors be this season? Ingram will have a good year unless he gets hurt, by the way.
So I just want to make sure everyone's had their thoughts. But if everyone is, did we miss anything? I just want to make sure. Okay. I think that there'll be 38 more than likely if the team stays together. Bobby said it won't, so we'll see what that means. You know, I mean, he's putting himself in a corner, so I have to go with what he said. What I'll say is that just to wrap it all with a bow, Jordi Fernandez actually wrote a beautiful paper about how to analyze where someone should be passing to and from, and where are the most effective passing spots on the floor. By comparison, Darko Rojakovic actually wrote a paper on the evolution of the pick and roll, but I've never seen a lot of pick and roll in this offense.
Oh my God, you got to be kidding me!
I am not kidding you. These are PhD papers.
Oh my God.
With that being said, it's going to be a very interesting year, folks.
What a great way to end the
like,
show.
Like, comment, and subscribe on this channel.
Yeah, please, guys. I like, if I had Kenyon's mean face to end the show, it would be the perfect ending to this show.
After
that comment, that is perfect right there. Okay. I'd like to thank Beyond the Locker Room, who, by the way, has his own show. Check it out. He covers the NFL on there. Watch it. I'm hoping to be on there soon to chit chat with him. I will have him on my football show as well, because me and him can go crazy on that. Lots of insane stuff happening in the NFL. So
yeah, we won't talk about silver and black these days.
Oh no, we ain't going to talk about them and their embarrassing selves. Okay, we're not doing that. They got their damn rookie out there talking about how he wants to leave the team already because of the losing culture. We also have, obviously, Basketball Rewind, which the guys do on a weekly basis. They cover the Raptors every week. Check that out as well. Coach, as always, you're like the utility guy who's always ready to go to the plate.
Are you calling him Scotty?
No. He's more of a Blue Jay. You know, a utility guy coming off the bench.
I'm Ernie Clement right now. Okay.
Okay, gotcha. I'm just asking.
So, and of course, myself, the Reach Report, guys. I'm trying to get to 700 subscribers. I'm 3 away. Please, 3 subscribers. Raptor fans, get me out there, get me to 700, and then I can celebrate like I'm Grady Dick at a club. Okay. So, let's go Blue Jays. Let's go Raptors.
Yeah.
I'm the mouth of North Andrews. Enjoy the NBA season, people. Plenty more to come from the Reach Report and these guys. But until then, I'm out. Great job, guys.
All right.